Generations has changed, people has changed, the new set of workforce has changed. So there's always need to focus on the priorities in terms of the mental state of the people, the wellness, very important.
So hello all. I'd like to welcome everybody again to another edition of Paperspace Asia's Where Strategy Meets Design podcasts. I'm fortunate enough today to be sitting with Joel Golimlim. Joel is the country director for Paperspace here in the Philippines. So Joel, welcome.
And good afternoon.
And relax, I'm going to pepper you with a whole lot of questions. So let's go from there. So I'll ask the obvious one, because I find it really fascinating. Most of the people I've met in the company were designers or are designers. You're actually a designer, but you're also an architect. And you're now country director for an office space or a workspace design company. Tell me about that, because I thought architects were outside, designers were inside. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
All right. So, first and foremost, Ed, I'm actually a registered architect here in the Philippines. And when I started my years of working experience here in the Philippines, I pretty much do a lot of architectural projects and also interior design projects.
Okay.
So I think this is something that most of the people, don't know, that architecture degree is quite varied. It's quite a lot of potentials in terms of your future, right? You can see project managers which are actually an architect, even contractors who are actually architects.
I never knew that.
Yeah, interior designers which are actually architects, which I am now. So these are all part of different facets of architectural degree. So it really depends on you how you're going to specialize.
When you did your degree and when you left, was the intent to go down a more standard architecture route, or were you still exploring?
Yeah, not really. I think I would say it's really because of the experience that I had. When I started here in the Philippines for 4 years prior to working abroad, it's a mix of base build projects, residentials, commercial centers, architectural projects. But aside from that, we also do interior design fit out. So that's the path is like leading to that. What happened after I work abroad in the Middle East, surprisingly, I moved to a different path. It's still part of the construction industry. I was a curtain wall or facade designer. So it's very technical. So this is totally different from the usual, interior design or architecture projects. It is still part of the architectural industry, but it's very specific. It's something that you didn't learn in school. It's something that you're going to be learning through experience. It started without experience. I completed 3 years there and gained a lot of experience about this another side of specialization, I should say, which is the curtain wall and facade. And from then, I moved to Singapore after 3 years in Dubai. Really been wanted to go back to design consultancy. But my very first job there was the same. It's a facade designer. But I only ended up staying for 3 months.
Okay.
And I moved back to design consultancy, which is actually interior design consultancy. And from then on, 13 years passed or 16 years has passed. It's all about interior design.
Okay.
That's why I would really say that it's really been my specialization already.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned about moving to Singapore.
Yeah.
On a previous episode, I interviewed Karen Kalalek, our COO, who had also spent a considerable amount of time in Singapore. And she talked about Sombat, who is the country director in Thailand, who also spent time in Singapore. First of all, what prompted you to make the move there? And then how did you all end up how did this puzzle come together?
Yeah. The reason why I left Dubai, I was only on my mid-20s to late
So let me
20s,
tell you.
right?
So you went from here to Dubai.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about that
So
first.
when I was in Dubai, it's like my younger years. I never thought of like saving money. I would always go out, go to the pubs every single night in Dubai, in Dubai. Because it's like an open city in the Middle East. Like everybody wanted it. It's like a free space in the Middle East. So I feel like I needed to mature. And I realized that I'm not saving anything. I have friends in Singapore that offered me, if you want to stay here, try your luck
Okay.
here. So I flew to Dubai. To Singapore. And a week after, I already had a job there.
Impressive. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, the rest is history. So, and I even became a resident in Singapore after 4 years, I think.
So I'm gonna break up the history a little bit.
Yeah.
So how long did you spend in total in Singapore?
16 years. Yeah.
16 years.
Yeah.
So tell me some of the things that you did. And I'd like you to kind of focus in on, at the end, towards how you, the country director of Thailand, the COO, and you,
Right.
how you all kind of came together.
Yeah.
So tell me that journey, how you got there.
All right. So my company in Singapore, I work for this design and build company, wherein I met Sombat. Sombat,
From Thailand.
yeah, from
Okay.
Thailand. This company is like the employees here are all like foreigners coming from the region, Thai people, Filipino, from Malaysia, Indonesia, right? So that's where I met Sombat. Um, Sombat became a friend, to be honest, and we were like brothers over there. So he was very young then, and I was really supporting Sombat then in terms of the technical stuff. He was on the creative side, so I would typically do the layout for him, try to fit all the requirements on the layout, then he will do the design, look and feel, basically,
Okay,
because he's a
okay.
very creative person. And that's where I met him. Then I left the company and worked in another company for like 3 years, I think. Then I joined back the BNB. Then that's where I met Karen.
Ah, okay.
I met Karen there, and I think that the person that I worked the longest time was Karen, actually. Because when I rejoined the BNB, Sambad and Narita is about to leave the company.
Okay, so just to recap, so we've got Sombat now at Paperspace, a country director in Thailand, Narita CEO, Karen COO.
Yep.
Okay. For those people that may not
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, so that's basically the history. Meaning, at one point, we were all together. We became friends. We know our strengths very well. Which prompted us to really trust each other and realizing that these people are the right partner
To work together.
to work together.
Okay.
And hence, comes Paperspace.
So I lived in Singapore as well and met lots of Filipinos there. What made you come back? I mean, you were there such a long time. Were you a PR?
Yes.
Okay, so you're a PR, you're living in Singapore. What made you come back?
Yep. So it's a question that's always been asked to me, especially Filipinos.
Sorry.
No.
That's a very
It's
interesting-
very common because everybody wants to stay there. You had the opportunity. You're a PR. You've been there for like almost 2 decades, and yet you're giving up your PR ship, right? I mean, when I worked there, it's not really my plan to stay there like forever or to become a citizen as well. I thought the plan was really until I am able, and I'm able to work, I can stay there. But I realized that it came earlier than what I planned because of few reasons. Number one is there are some sort of like a saturation point in terms of how you work there. Working there, yeah, you may be getting, very like gratifying salary, but actually the level of stress is also different.
Yep.
And I think there's also that side wherein I'm looking at my family. I have my elder son living with my mother-in-law in the Philippines, while I have my youngest with us in Singapore with my wife. So it's really more of a family family issues. It's just so happened that I know that there will be an opportunity. I don't feel anxious that, hey, I'm gonna go back to the Philippines and, start from scratch, potentially experience the hardship there. But it was very positive. My thinking there was like, there's nothing I'll be losing if I go back,
Okay.
So true enough, even before I left Singapore, the opportunity already came in. Of course, the team has already formed Paperspace. To be honest, I'm the last one to said, yes, I'm in. But in reality, they already done all the legwork, the planning, strategy planning. Then I was like, convinced my current, even Rita, I remember her calling me, hey Joel, we're gonna pitch for this. Are you in or are you out? I was still working at my last company then, but I said, yeah, I think this is it. So this is like basically the real trigger points and the factors that made me decide to.
Okay.
I think we have a good plan. It's a very good fallback. I have nothing to be afraid of. And of course, as Filipinos, it always feels happy to be in your own country.
You spent time in Dubai, which I guess is really now, up there
Yeah.
with some of the biggest cities and most progressive cities in the world. Nearly 20 years in Singapore, which, is extremely well known for what it's achieved and a lot of the talent that it's produced. And you're now in your own organization. How would you rate talent availability, talent capabilities here in the Philippines now versus Singapore and emerging cities like Dubai? How do we have a way to go? Are we getting there? Are we already there? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think one thing that I have realized, especially for us Filipinos, right? Once a Filipino would go abroad and work, right? The only way to do is to work harder. So the only thing that you need to do is to be a disciplined worker, which is not happening in our own country. Of course, not with everybody, like probably majority. But what I'm saying is, the moment you think of working abroad, you know already the driver. You want to have a better life, and you don't want to waste it, like right. So you don't have a choice but to work hard, to work properly. So that's the good thing about working abroad. So what I have noticed, especially for us Filipinos, the learnings that we're getting, the work ethics, the discipline that we are getting and we are learning from other countries is really making us a lot even better, right? So I wouldn't say that all people, Filipinos working in the Philippines are not like that, but because of your drive to work, to have a better future, that's only your tendency to do better in your own company. After working for like almost a decade, as I said, right? You come back here and you notice the difference after working with that kind of level of professionalism, the work ethics. Then you come here, you tend to experience some frustrations. Again, it's something real that I feel like, do I need to do my own adjustment, or I would rather impart what I've learned to my fellow Filipinos here.
Okay.
So that I see what's the purpose of Paperspace and myself. And
Okay.
I'm on this age already. Yeah, I am the country director now, but I'm also in that age that, very soon I'll be retiring. So I think it's becoming now my goal is to become a legacy on my own way, on to be able to transfer that values that you've learned from other countries and pass it on to your fellow Filipinos, which is in your own country. And that's why we have Paperspace.
Tell me about hiring people here. How easy is it? The quality of people that you can get, especially in workspace design, is it a difficult thing? Is it easier? Just give me a feel for that.
Well, I think, it has evolved. The workforce has evolved a lot. We've been to like how many generations, right? Chances are you're going to be looking for, people under 20s, probably the mature ones must be under 30s, 40s. They are all different now. So there's some sort of like challenge on how people adapt to what you want, to what culture you want to practice in your own company. So there's that kind of challenge, and you need to look at it seriously as well. So it has evolved. meaning the references of people why they're working in this company, they all varied. Again, there's a lot of factors, the exposure of the people now, the talents are different from our exposures during our
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
we just need to go through the process and we need to adapt. I think it's very important to adapt. Otherwise, you don't have a choice but to get the younger generation. I think the most that you can do is to mold them on the way that you think they should be molded, like what you have learned in the past.
One of the things that many people have told me about you is how hands-on you are, especially with the people. So that got me thinking, because you're country director, which means essentially you're running the office here. How many people do we have in the office here, approximately?
Yeah. I think right now we're on our 20.
Okay, so
Yeah.
about 20
The
people.
biggest, yeah.
You're involved in projects before they become projects, after they become projects, and yet you still find time to mentor almost one by one, almost individually, each of these staff. I've got two questions that I really need to ask, because it fascinates me and I find it so admirable. And that is, why? What prompts you? What drives you to do that? That's question number one. And question number two is, with everything else you do, where do you find the time to do your day job and then coach? And what's the drive to do that?
Thanks, Ed, for saying that. Because,
thank you for the people who tell me.
I mean, I tried my best to do that, but I just tried to make it a point to, on top of the projects that I'm working on, tackling one proposal after the other. I think talking to the team is very important, actually very important. That's the only way I make sure that everyone is like on their feet and also doing their best. And also to make sure that I know whether they're, experiencing some problems, some challenges. That's the only way to do it and to know it. And in reality, it's not always been positive, facing and realizing that your team member is experiencing like this, like that, they're having troubles, they're having difficulty tackling a certain project. So I tried my best to help. Well, we are still lean. I would say that we are still a lean company. I don't need to be like too high level yet, to a point that I have my managers to look after the team in different tiers. But I think it's just proper to do it still. I always find time to do that. In the first place, they are the one involved in every single project. And again, if I'm involved in the project, so there's always that interaction between you.
Okay.
There will always be an interaction every single day. So that's where I sort of like capitalize and take advantage of the time. Well, like for example, after a meeting, okay, let's go for a snack or for a dinner. Sit down, tackle about the project a little bit, discuss a little bit about the project, then try to say, how are you doing? How are you feeling now? Are you okay? Do you feel tired? I think it's very important to be sensitive on that. And as you mentioned, right, generations has changed, people has changed, the new set of workforce has changed. So there's always need to focus on the priorities, in terms of the mental state of the people,
Yep,
the
yep.
wellness, very important. And I think I also would say that there was a time that I really didn't have a choice. I need to do it. There was a time that we didn't have enough managers, I would say, that can be, people next in command after me, that can look at the people on the ground. We have worked hard also to be able to be on that stage. So I think now I start to enjoy that. So I have now my mid managers to look after them. But again, I mean, I wouldn't stop talking to the rest of the team. It's still there, but I think it's important also to prioritize now. As a country director, you need to look at your priorities
It's
in
actually,
terms of your scope.
it's actually
Yeah.
refreshing to hear, because, we used to talk about leadership being, walking the floor, and that seems to have disappeared, and you seem to have revived it. You're now having people being sent to work on projects overseas.
Yes.
is that, do you see that as a combination of the skill level of the people, the work that you put in as a country director? Someone comes from the Philippines and work on a project in Singapore, to me,
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's just part of it. I think there are also reasons why we're doing that. I think it's always been our core a process to be more collaborative as a region. We, even how we pitch, right? We always sell ourselves as Paperspace Asia. We are a region and we help each other. We do collaborate. So that's part of our collaboration, sending people not just to help them, but also to understand the nuances over there, how they do the work. I mean, we have similar way of working, right? But you know, the characteristics of the people is quite different in every nation, right? So it's also good practice for them to be able to adopt and fully understand the behaviors of every single one. Aside from the fact, of course, that you're happy and proud that, okay, so my team, the reason why she's sent there or he is sent there, because that capability, he has the potential to
Okay.
help,
Yep.
be of help to other country.
So the company's almost 10 years old.
We're on our eighth,
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
So you've passed the 5-year edge of cliff, nearly falling off period.
Yep.
You've passed the 7-year where the majority of people do fall off or jump off.
Yep.
What do you think is the reason for that? What do you think, like, you've passed those, you've moved on, and from what I see, you're growing.
Yep.
And not only are you growing internally here, but you're actually helping out countries,
Yeah.
other countries we're associated with.
Yeah.
What's the secret?
I think, well, definitely I would give it to the whole team. It's really a collective effort. I'm just part of it. I think it's really every single one, the core team, all the directors, Rita, Karen, Sombet, Ali, and Audrey, all of us. I think we had learned a lot in the past on how to move forward. I think we needed to experience the hardship, the difficulties to be able to be on this stage.
Okay.
And yeah, I think we're quite successful in that. So that's why we're still here. And I think I can even foresee that it will be even a lot better than what we're currently, what state we are in right now. But I definitely give it to the whole team, to our CEO, and for myself, I think modestly speaking, I think it's already inherent in me to be a good team player as well.
Okay.
On top of me being, trying to do my best every time. Whatever I need to do, I just need to do my best.
So
Yeah.
I've got two questions. One of them I'll pick up on the team player
Yeah.
remark. So you've got yourself and Karen, COO, 2 Filipinos,
Yeah.
but really different in character.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a Singaporean CEO, very different from both of you. You've got a Thai country director, very different from everybody else. How do you guys agree amongst yourselves? How do you resolve conflict? How do you reach consensus amongst such different people, such different characters?
Yeah. I think it's really normal for a team to be in the situation wherein you seem not to understand each other. There comes the conflicts, right? I think it's very common. And we experienced that as well. I mean, many times. But I think, well, when we gather each other, right? The first thing that, what we're holding on is our trust in each other. That's why we trust in our strength. Everyone trusts each other. There was a time that people tend to keep it to himself or herself, but she feels, right? I realized as we went through the different stages, it won't go anywhere if that's your attitude and your character and how you approach it. I think it's always been being transparent. So I think being together for so long, I think, there's no other way but to be transparent and tell each and everyone what you feel and give your opinion. I mean, whatever you can put on the table, just put it in there. Whether they accept it or not, at least you've shared your insights or your opinions to everybody. But so far, I think we have been very successful in that. After experiencing the difficulties, we became more open
Yep.
and transparent and try to be respectful of each other's take on whatever topic or anything that is related to the company.
Well, it's clearly working, right?
Yes.
So last question. I asked the same question to our COO, Karen. I'd be really interested in your perspective. We have audience members who may be young, may have started their careers as either designers, architects, in that kind of sphere. And they listen to this and they look at you and go, I'd like to get there. I'd like to be a country director. To those 24 or 25 or 23-year-olds, what would you advise? How do they go from, I don't know what the future holds, to sitting in your chair?
Yeah. Well, for me, I think you need to have that kind of right attitude. When you say right attitude, it almost covers everything. The attitude to dream, the attitude to persevere, and the attitude to work hard. Because it's always not an easy task. It's not always an easy step. We may have different drivers. Why are we doing this? Regardless whether you came from a poor family or you're already born rich as a person, but if you have the dream, you need to persevere and work for it. You will be facing a lot of hardships, especially if you're a designer. You're gonna be facing a lot of clients, all sorts of clients that may eat you alive. You know what I mean?
I've known some of those.
So it will make you feel discouraged. It will make you feel like, okay, I don't want to go towards that path.
Yeah.
I'm just here. I'll be a simple employee. I think I'm okay with this, being a simple employee. I get my salary. You won't stop from there. You would only learn after you have experienced all these sort of challenges and difficulties. There's no other way.
So it's kind of like you don't give up. You just keep going.
Yeah, that's what we did. I mean, we thought we're gonna be closing in the pandemic time. Literally no projects coming in. But we just move on. We just need to do what we need to do, move forward. That's the only thing that I can tell to the young designers in there.
So Joel, thank you very much. I really
Thanks,
appreciate the time we've spent together. I've learned a lot. And it's been inspirational. I hope it's been inspirational to our audience. For those who've been listening, we've been talking to Joel Golimlim, who's the country director for the Philippines for Paperspace Asia. I hope everybody found the conversation interesting and of use. We look forward to seeing you all again in our next episode. All the details about that you'll find on our website. Joel, again, thank you again.
Thank you.
And to our audience, thank you for joining us and see you again.